Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are joining me from today. Welcome to this session here with me. My name's Gina Shepherd, and I'm going to be sharing with you the most powerful business tool you'll ever have. I'd like to start though by asking you a couple of questions. I'd like you to pop a yes in the comments for me if you've ever posted on social media and felt like you were talking to an empty room. Perhaps you could also pop a yes in the comments for me as well if you are tired of chasing clients and you're ready for them to come to you instead. Okay, great. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing. I want you to hold on to that feeling because what I'm about to share with you isn't a tactic. It's not a hack, and it's something that I've watched transform businesses quietly and consistently over time. And it starts with one thing in most people will overlook in business entirely. People don't do business with brands, they don't do business with strategies, and they don't do business with content. They do business with people they know, like, and trust. But you know that, right? That's it. That's the whole thing. Every lead problem, every engagement problem, every why isn't my content working problem almost always comes back to the same root cause. The relationship just wasn't there yet. And I know this not because I read it in a book or because somebody told me, but because I've lived it through experience. I want to take you back to 2010 when I just bought my second Curves franchise. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what Curves is, at that time, it was the fastest growing franchise in the world. It was a women's fitness club. Now, the fitness industry as a whole had an attrition rate of around 33% month on month. That's the rate that's the rate that members cancel their membership each month. That's a third of your members walking out of your door every single month. For most fitness clubs across the industry, keeping members was the biggest headache in business. At Curves, our aim was to keep ours under 10%. And in our gyms, in my gyms, it was always under 10%. Not because we had better equipment, not because we had a better location, but because we built community. We knew our members by their name. We knew when they walked in the door, we would say hello to them by their first name. We also knew about their families. We knew about their likes and their dislikes. We celebrated their wins and we grieved their losses too. We really nurtured those relationships with our members genuinely and consistently over time. And because of that, our members didn't just stay, they brought their friends along too. That experience taught me something that I have never forgotten. Connection, real connection, is the most powerful business tool you can ever have. I'm going to fast forward now to 2014, when I decided to try networking. So I found what I thought was the perfect event. It was a mum's networking group. I was really nervous about going networking. And my life, it was all about women. I worked with women, my members were women. So going to a mum's networking group kind of felt safe to me, only it wasn't. The second I walked through the door, I realized it wasn't just women in the room. In fact, it was probably a good 50% male entity in there. The room was quite packed as well. There were probably 50 or 60 people in the room. And after a short while of mingling, well, everyone started to form this great big circle around the edge of the room. And then one by one, everyone got their 30 seconds to say who they were and what they did. Now, by this time, I was standing right at the very back of the room. I was at the furthest point from the exit, and I could feel that panic rising inside. And as my time got closer, I was focusing less on what other people were saying and more on what I was going to say. And it came to my turn, and I started to speak. But before I could finish my sentence, a voice from the room shouted, "You need to speak up! I can't hear you!" I was mortified. My face was bright red like a beetroot, and my heart was racing. And all I could think of was, get me out of here quick. But I was stuck. Remember, I was right at the back of the room. I couldn't get out without walking through the centre of everybody else. So I waited until the pitching was over, and then I bolted for the door. I made myself a promise as I walked out of that room that I would never, ever go networking again. Back at the gym, still feeling quite humiliated a couple of days later by this experience, I was telling the story to one of my members. She was another woman in business, and she was saying to me that she felt exactly the same way. She hated networking too. She didn't like the hard pitching, hard sell. And she knew she needed to network. And we looked at each other and we said, if we hate this, surely others do too. So we created something that we thought that we would actually enjoy. We called it Not Networking. And our very first event, it was a walk and talk event. And our whole premise was no stuffy suits, no ties, no need for any form of performance, and definitely no pitching. Just people walking and talking and letting the ideas flow. It was a really simple idea, and it was very, very relaxed, and it got quite popular too. I ended up running those events through to 2018, when life started to pull me in a different direction. It kind of does from time to time, doesn't it? We have to change and pivot a little, and that's when those events stopped. But here's what didn't stop: the relationships that had formed within the group. In 2022, 4 years later, 2 women who'd been regulars at the Not Networking events reached out to me completely out of the blue. I hadn't spoken to either of them since 2018, but they had stayed friends. It was a friendship that had started in those early events and had lasted years without me. They told me how much those events had meant to them and how it was the first place they had truly felt seen in business. And then they asked, would you ever consider bringing Not Networking back? At that time, I was working full time and I couldn't. But that conversation opened up another door, and I offered them coaching instead. After 4 years of silence, 2 people came back. That isn't a marketing story. That's a relationship story. And here's what I want to share with you, what I'd like you to know. You can't manufacture that. You can't shortcut it. There's no shortcuts to it, but you can absolutely build it intentionally, consistently, maybe even slowly, if you understand what you're actually building. Most people, though, think their business has a lead problem, or a content problem, or a visibility problem. It's none of those. It really is a connection problem. We know that any kind of marketing on any social platform is unpredictable. The algorithm will decide who sees our content and when they see it. But a relationship, that's yours. That lasts 4 years, 4 years of silence, and it can still bring someone back. So I'd like to share with you 3 things that you can start doing today to begin building that kind of connection. And the first one a little bit of hokey pokey going on here. Okay, here we go. The first thing I'd like to share with you, and And it's my main one, right? Build a community, not just a following. Most of us network like this. We are in the center and we have a conversation, one connection, and then another connection, and then nothing. That chat ends. And the business cards, they go in the drawer or get dropped in the bottom of the handbag and forgotten about. That person probably disappears into the ether. Maybe they scroll past you occasionally on their socials, but generally out of sight is out of mind. But watch what happens when you shift from reaching out to bringing other people together. When you create a space, it could be a Facebook group, a LinkedIn community, or a room like this one we're in today. You stop being just another connection and you become the hub. People don't just connect with you, they connect with each other through you. You become familiar, and the more familiar you become, the more known, liked, and trusted you are. And that's when we start to get this compounding effect, because the journey looks like this: connection, conversation, community, clients. It's what I call the 4C framework. It's not about chasing leads. It's about becoming a leader and leading your community. Number 2 then, be genuinely curious in your follow-up. Most people either never follow up at all, or they follow up and try and close. They rush the conversation like they're running a conveyor belt. The follow-up, it isn't about closing. It's about noticing. It's about communicating and sharing. A simple, I thought of you when I saw this, is worth way more than 10 perfectly crafted sales messages. The rule here is simple. If your follow-up feels pushy, it needs refining, not sending. And then finally, my third tip for you today is give before you ever ask. Before you invite anyone to anything, before you pitch, before you sell, serve. Share content that shows who you are and what you know. Run a small event, welcome people to your world. Let them experience a little bit of you before they pay for it, because people never pay for your program. It's not your program they're purchasing or your service. They're paying for the outcome that they believe they're going to get. And the best way to create that belief is let them feel it first. Those 3 things, community, curiosity, and generosity, are not complicated. They're not expensive. They don't require a team or a funnel or even a paid ad. They just require you to be intentional, consistent, and willing to think in longer than a few minutes. Maybe a few weeks, maybe a few days, but certainly not a quick close in a few minutes. Going back to Marika, who was one of the ladies that approached me in 2022. Her business was 2 years young at that point, and we decided to work together. We worked together with one clear focus, and that was to build her business around community. Not just followers, real community, not just engagement, but a real feeling of belonging. In her first year we worked together on this community project, her revenue increased by 300%. In year 2, it increased again by a further 58%. In year 3, Marika achieved her 5-year goal, which was to open her own health and wellness studio. That was done through community-led growth. That's what it looks like. It's never a quick win. It's a compounding engine. And then I think of Lisa. Lisa wanted to start a transformational program. She built her community with intention. She ran her first event. She didn't just hit her program goal, she doubled it in 12 weeks. And she ended up with a waiting list for her weekly classes, not chasing people to fill a room, actually turning people away, all while working a full-time job. Now, these aren't flukes. They're what happens when the community principle is applied consistently. So if you take one thing away from here, from my session with you today, I'd like it to be a mindset shift. When you stop asking, how can I get more leads? Instead, say to yourself, how do I build more connections, more real connections? Because when connection is there, the leads follow naturally, sustainably, without you having to chase them. But there's something I need to address, because I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, Gina, I've tried building community. I've started a Facebook group. I've posted in it for weeks and nobody engaged. It felt like I was talking to myself, so I gave up. I hear this all the time. And I want to say something that may be a little bit uncomfortable for some of you. Giving up on your community because it's quiet is like planting a seed, and when it doesn't sprout in the first week, walking away and deciding that gardening doesn't work. The quiet isn't the problem. The quiet you're experiencing is the process. Here's what's actually happening in a quiet group. There's people watching you. They're reading your posts, even when they're not liking them. They're noticing that you show up every week. They're quietly building an impression of who you are. Whether you can be trusted, whether you're consistent, whether you're the real deal. Every single time you show up in that silence, you are making a deposit into your trust account that you can't see yet. The problem isn't that community doesn't work. The problem is that we've been conditioned to expect immediate feedback. We post something and we want to see the likes and engagement immediately. We start a group and we want the engagement straight away. We send a message and we want the reply now. And when the silence comes, and it always comes at the beginning, we decide it means something that it doesn't. It doesn't mean your idea is wrong. It doesn't mean your audience isn't there. It doesn't mean community isn't for you. It means you're in the part of the story where most people quit. Think about Marika. 4 years of silence between us. 4 years. If I had measured the value of that relationship by its activity, it would have been written off way before it got started. But it wasn't written off. And she came back. Think about your own quiet group right now. Think about the people who have joined and never said a word. They're not gone. They're still there. They're watching. And the day you say something that lands with them, the day you share something that speaks directly to them, where they are in this moment, they'll surface. They'll comment. They will message. They'll say, I've been following you for a while and I finally feel ready. I've seen this happen more times than I can count. The businesses that win at community are the ones not with the loudest groups or even the largest groups. They're the ones who keep showing up when it's quiet. They keep serving when they think no one's watching. And they build the foundation before the house ever went up. So if you have a quiet group right now, don't shut it down. Don't abandon it. Don't move on to the next shiny platform. Recommit to it. Posting it this week. Welcome the people who are there. Start one conversation. Ask one question and then do it again. Because here's the most important thing that I'm going to share with you today. Don't let the quiet fool you. Don't let the quiet fool you. Your quiet group, your post with 2 likes, the conversation you had 6 months ago with someone who never replied, none of that is wasted. Those are seeds. And the seeds don't make a noise while they're growing. So start bringing your audience together today. Not when your page looks perfect, not when you've figured out everything, not when you feel ready, because that feeling never comes on its own. Every day you wait is another day posting into a feed that doesn't remember you, instead of building a community that does. Your next client isn't waiting for your best post. They're waiting for a real conversation. So go and have one.